Scheduling and planning has the power to completely transform your life. I know this for a fact because it's one of the biggest things that's helped me in my life. And if you're not currently using a planner or schedule, I want to talk to you about that, about maybe why you're not and the benefits of using. I didn't start scheduling or using a planner until I really changed the way I thought about it. I didn't even realize how many blocks I had around this process. I want to talk about just the underlying reasons and benefits that maybe aren't obvious to you. I want to dig into that. You may be telling yourself that a schedule limits you, it makes you boring, that you're too much of a creative, free-spirited type to use a schedule or to plan out your life in any way. You might have all sorts of different excuses. You're a creative, you're this, you're that, whatever it might be. And I want you to really recognize and look at that. That is self-sabotage. So let's look at this first one, that scheduling your life makes you boring, makes you uptight, makes you, all these different things. And I think this is one of the craziest lies that I actually hear all the time. Like if you're scheduled, if you're put together, if you, have some idea of what you're doing with your life, what you're going, where you're going with your life, you're not fun. You're boring, you're uptight. People say this and I hear this all the time. And I can't even tell you what a lie that is, because there is nothing more boring than walking around thinking about when you're going to do your laundry, when you're going to call people back, when you're going to do certain things. These mundane little teeny things that are stored in your mind, that's boring, okay? You want to free up your mind for the fun stuff, for being creative, for hanging out with friends, just for doing different things that are exciting to you and that don't need to be scheduled. The things that need to be scheduled and kind of set aside and you to have a mental plan for, it frees you up for so much more in your life. So don't ever let someone tell you that this makes you boring or this or that. On this idea that a schedule will constrict you or take away from your life, I want you to know that you are the person that makes your schedule. You make it, and your schedule is your best friend. It is your partner in crime. It is there for you. It's got your back. Your schedule is not here as your enemy. It's not here yelling at you. It really is looking out for you. And you are the one that makes your schedule. So if you're yelling at a piece of paper, if you're mad at a paper for telling you what to do that day, that's just coming from you. So there's really nothing to be mad at here. I think another huge reason why scheduling is so important is it really does put you in a position of power in your life. You're all of a sudden in the driver's seat. You're calling the shots. Life isn't happening to you. And obviously you don't need a schedule for this to be the case, but it certainly does help. It's like one of the biggest tools you could possibly use. So I think it puts you in this position of power in your life, but I think in that same breath, that's one of the reasons a schedule can be kind of scary, because all of a sudden you may have been taking a really passive approach to your life. And I say this because I've been here. I've been here most of my life, and scheduling has been something that's really changed the game for me. Is if you are taking this passive approach to life and just letting life happen to you and saying you're fun and you're having a great time, but your life is kind of falling apart and you're burning up, I feel like having a reminder that you are the one in the driver's seat in your life, you are the one calling the shots in some ways, and you are the one that's kind of in a position of power, can actually be terrifying, because you realize that you got you to whatever hole you're in, and all of a sudden you have to dig yourself out. And that's where I feel like scheduling, especially when you first start, it can hit you hard. And I think that's one of the reasons we can resist it, because all of a sudden you're going from a passive to an active participant in your life. And that's an adjustment in itself. And you might be like, I don't want to do that. That already doesn't sound good. But here's the thing. There is nothing more difficult, in my opinion and in my experience, than letting life happen to you and not being in the driver's seat. That is a million times harder than looking at your life and being present to it and being active in it. I love how people talk about like taking your life back and living an authentic life and getting all fired up, and you're all fired up like, yeah, I'm in the driver's seat of my own life and I'm doing all these things and I'm so excited, and you don't have any practical tools or like any application for this. You're just all fired up, and that energy is really, maybe not being put anywhere. So this is something you can actually do to see, am I taking my power back? Am I calling the shots? It's a huge way, and it stares at you every single day. You can't escape it. If you have a planner and you're looking at it every day, you are always in your own life. And I know it's so crazy in a world that you're kind of always trying to escape. It can sometimes feel like you're always trying to escape your life, and that alone can be so incredibly painful. And it's even bigger than that though. I think for me, the biggest benefit that I've ever gotten with scheduling, you know, putting together a plan or whatever it might be, is the sense of security and groundedness that this brings. And this is huge. And the reason this is huge is because I think one of the biggest things people outsource, particularly in romantic relationships, is a feeling of security and is a feeling of safety at home. And they always say, you know, people always say, oh, you gotta, you know, you gotta feel it within first, you gotta do it for yourself. But what does that mean? I don't know what that means. I used to hear that. No one gave me tools. Well, this is a huge one for it, because having an idea of what's going on in your life and being present to your life, I cannot tell you how much this grounds you. I cannot tell you how present it makes you to your life. And the sense of security you get just looking at your life and knowing where it's going, or having an idea of what you're doing, even something as simple as just scheduling some appointments, maybe when you're grocery shopping, when you're cleaning, just a little bit of structure can do so much for your sense of security in yourself and just your sense of like giving yourself safety. When you have some sense of structure in your life, when you have some sense of routine, you're kind of telling your body, hey, you can relax. You don't have to be in fight or flight anymore. You don't need all these other people or all these other things to do anything for you. You kind of got it together yourself on a very real level. And I think this is just one of the biggest unexpected benefits that I've personally found in scheduling and planning my life and having an idea of where it's going, is just the sense of like home that I feel that I've really never felt. I mean, I felt it with other things, and of course I'll talk about other things as well, but this is one of the biggest because it really makes you check in with yourself all the time, pretty much daily, sometimes multiple times a day. And I don't know, it's just a really special benefit. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone else ever talk about that scheduling and scheduling and planning your life really does give you a sense of like safety and groundedness. And again, it's something that's changed my life, so I want to talk about it. I want to show you that this is literally one of the easiest things that you could do, and you could start it today. The most important part of planning and scheduling, besides knowing the benefits, the ways you resist it, whatever that may be, get a pencil, and it has to have an eraser. Because if we do not finish everything in one day, no big deal. We erase it out and we move it around. There have been entire, like several days in a row where I have to move everything because maybe I worked 12 hours that day, or maybe I did, you know, whatever it might be, something happened, things got moved around, no big deal. A pencil is the most important part of your schedule. Okay, now I have my planners. I have one that's gorgeous. It looks like this. I don't use it. I don't like the structure of it. Well, I've used it before, but it kind of like, I don't know. That's my budget. I don't like the structure. So it's kind of bad, but I just use like a notebook right now. And I debated, I was like, oh, should I get a different planner before I make this video? Because it's kind of embarrassing, but it's like very amateur looking. And I'm sitting here telling you how like a planner is going to change your life. But I actually felt like it was good to talk about what I'm currently using, because this is true. This is actually what I use. And you probably have a notebook at home. So how much easier could it possibly be? And this doesn't even look good. I've just been looking for the right planner, and I kind of like keep pushing it back. But basically all I do as far as my actual structure, I have it like this. I'll write out Monday through Friday and just literally do little lines. And then I'll also have my weekends done in too, and I write the date up. And I just write things. You can even see how much I erase. Yeah, it's that easy. You might be wondering, well, okay, I'm down to use a planner. You gave all the benefits. What do I possibly, you know, plan on? And I want to mention one more thing as well that I think is super important. If you're super bored with your planner, if you're like, oh, I don't want to use a planner because it's, you know, boring to me, this or that, I think it's because a lot of times when I've used planners in the past and it never stuck, I would only focus on one category of life, like cleaning or decorating or getting ready. I don't know, career, I'll throw that in there, sure. You know, whatever it might be, I only would focus on one category. So I think it's really important to expand to all categories. So in the beginning of the week, maybe write out, you know, your relationship things. Maybe going, if you have a partner, going on a date, if you have friends, checking in, hanging out with them, you know, whatever it may be. Career, you could have a couple different things listed. Health and wellness, a couple of different things listed. You know, the point is to, like, you have a whole pie of all these different categories of your life. Make sure you're moving them all forward in a week. They might all not get moved forward in a week. That's true. It often doesn't happen for me either. But at least you're looking at every area of your life and how to move it forward. What that does is, not only does it make your life more fun and more well-rounded, it also puts less pressure on one area of your life. If you're really stressed about your career, the worst thing you can do is make a planner and make it only related to your career. That puts way too much of a focus on it that isn't actually helpful. You kind of want to build in other things, because a certain level of, like, being relaxed and knowing that your life is more than just one category is actually helpful for you. And I hope that you find that scheduling, organizing, and planning and all those things, you know, I'm so excited for you. If you haven't yet done this, if this is the first time you're really set on it, I think the biggest thing is not really about the habit. It's about knowing why you're resisting the habit, or maybe not really seeing all the benefits of the habit. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about planning and organizing. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in pretty much all of my videos. Is it's never the thing, it's always the thing beneath the thing that has really made the difference in my life. And that's why I want to talk about it with you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.